Rain hammered against the clinic windows while Owen Mitchell sorted through expired bandages in the supply closet. Another quiet night on Tarsus 6 meant another night of useless inventory checks. The frontier settlement had exactly 47 residents, and most of them avoided his clinic like it carried a plague. They preferred the automated medical pod in the town square, the one that never judged their poor life choices or asked uncomfortable questions about their past. Owen didn't mind the solitude. He had chosen this remote posting precisely because nobody came here unless they were running from something. Just like him, the crash came without warning. One moment Owen was counting antiseptic bottles. The next, his entire clinic shook as something enormous slammed through the front entrance. The door frame splintered. Glass shattered across the waiting room floor. Owen grabbed the nearest thing resembling a weapon, which turned out to be a bedpan, and rushed toward the noise. What he saw made him freeze. A dragon filled his waiting room. Not a metaphorical dragon or some small reptilian species. An actual dragon, easily the size of a cargo transport with scales that shimmered between deep purple and midnight blue. Smoke poured from its nostrils, but not the fierce flames Owen expected. This smoke came in weak, sputtering coughs that sounded wrong, almost pitiful. The creature's eyes, huge and golden, fixed on Owen with an expression he recognized immediately. Pain, fear, desperation. Please. The dragon wheezed in broken standard, the universal language that most species mangled in their own way. Please help. Dying. Owen's medical training kicked in before his common sense could object. He dropped the bedpan and moved closer, his eyes scanning the creature for obvious injuries. No blood, no visible wounds, but the labored breathing. The way the dragon trembled, the violet mucus dripping from its nostrils, all of it screamed respiratory infection. Easy, Owen said, keeping his voice calm and steady. I need to examine you. Can you tell me your name? Wraith. Another wet cough. Hurts to breathe. Outside, Owen heard shouting. The settlement's residents had noticed his unusual patient. Someone screamed about calling the militia. Someone else yelled about sealing the clinic and burning it down. Typical frontier hospitality. An older dragon, smaller but still impressive, pushed through the broken doorway. This one had gray scales and moved with careful dignity despite the obvious worry in its eyes. I am Vorn, the older dragon said, his standard much clearer than Wraith's. I am guardian to this young one. We came because we heard a human doctor lives here, a doctor who does not turn away the desperate. You heard right, Owen said, though he wondered where such a rumor had started. But I've never treated a Scareth before. I don't know your physiology. No one does, Vorn replied, his voice heavy with old grief. Our people guard our medical knowledge closely. Too closely. We are dying from diseases we do not understand, and our pride prevents us from asking for help. Owen looked at Wraith, who had collapsed onto his floor, breathing in short, painful gasps. The young dragon couldn't have been more than 20 years old. Barely an adult by human standards, probably still a child by dragon aging. His scales had lost their luster. His tail curled protectively around his body in a posture that reminded Owen of sick children, trying to make themselves small. The clinic door burst open again. Administrator Walsh stormed in, flanked by 2 security officers carrying plasma rifles. Walsh was a tall woman with iron-gray hair and the personality of a meteor impact. Mitchell, what in the 9 hells do you think you're doing? She demanded. That's a Scareth, a dragon. They're dangerous. That's a patient, Owen corrected. And he's sick. I don't care if he's dying. You will not treat that creature in this settlement. Our safety protocols are clear. No Scareth within city limits. Owen felt something crack inside his chest, a wall he had built around his heart after his daughter died. He had hidden on this worthless rock for 3 years, avoiding responsibility, avoiding connection, avoiding the pain of caring about anyone. But looking at Wraith struggling to breathe, terrified and alone, Owen couldn't hide anymore. No, he said quietly. Walsh blinked. Excuse me? I said no. I'm a doctor. That's a patient. I took an oath, and nowhere in that oath did it say unless they have scales. I'll have your medical license revoked, then revoke it. But I'm treating him first. The security officers looked uncomfortable. One of them lowered his rifle slightly. Vorn watched the exchange with keen interest, his head tilting like he was reassessing everything he thought he knew about humans. Walsh's face turned red, then purple. Fine. But when this goes wrong, when that thing tears you apart or burns down the settlement, remember that I tried to stop you." She stormed out, her officers trailing behind her. Through the broken doorway, Owen could see residents gathering in the street, their faces ranging from curious to hostile. Someone had started a small fire in a trash container, because apparently watching a sick dragon wasn't exciting enough. Owen turned back to his patient. Wraith had closed his eyes, but tears leaked from beneath the scaled lids. Even dragons cried, apparently. "All right, Wraith," Owen said, pulling on examination gloves. "Let's figure out what's wrong with you." He started with the basics. Temperature check using an infrared scanner, since he wasn't about to stick a thermometer in a dragon's mouth. Elevated, definitely feverish. Respiratory rate, far too rapid and shallow. Heart rate, assuming dragons had hearts in roughly the same location as other species, accelerated and irregular. Owen grabbed his stethoscope and pressed it against Wraith's chest. The sound that came through made him wince. Crackling, wheezing. Fluid in the lungs, no question about it. "Vorn," Owen said. "Has Wraith been around others with similar symptoms?" "Yes. 3 other young ones in the settlement where we were staying. They recovered, but Wraith only grew worse. Respiratory infection," Owen muttered. "Probably viral, possibly bacterial secondary infection. Standard progression for most carbon-based life forms." He looked at Wraith, really looked at him. Scared kid, sick and far from home. Treated like a monster by everyone except one old guardian who loved him enough to bring him to a human doctor on a backwater world. Owen had been that scared kid once, sitting in hospital rooms while doctors used complicated words to explain why they couldn't save his daughter. He had held her hand while she struggled to breathe, while her small body fought an infection that human medicine couldn't stop. He couldn't save his daughter. But maybe, just maybe, he could save this dragon. "We're going to treat this like any other respiratory infection," Owen announced. "I need to move you to the back room. It's bigger. Can you walk?" Wraith opened his eyes and nodded weakly. With Vorn's help, the young dragon stumbled through the clinic. Owen guided them to his storage room, which he quickly cleared of boxes and equipment. Not ideal, but it would have to do. "First things first," Owen said, hauling out a space heater. "We need to keep your body temperature stable. Then we're going to work on that breathing." Vorn stared at him. "You truly intend to treat him as you would a human?" "I intend to treat him like he matters," Owen replied. "Because he does." 3 hours had passed since Owen started treating Wraith, and the young dragon's breathing had not improved. Worse, his fever was climbing despite the medications Owen had administered. The space heater hummed in the corner, keeping the makeshift sick room warm enough for a cold-blooded patient who couldn't regulate his own temperature properly while ill. Owen sat on a rolling stool beside Wraith's massive form, monitoring vital signs with equipment designed for beings 1/10 his patient's size. The readings were all over the place, but the trend was clear enough. Wraith was getting worse, not better. "Talk to me," Owen said, keeping his voice gentle. "Tell me about your home. Where are you from?" Wraith's eyes cracked open. Speaking seemed to require immense effort. "Scarthane. Big colony, mountains. Mountains sound nice. Cold there?" "Yes, snow, ice caves." Wraith coughed, and more violet mucus splattered on the floor. "Miss it," Owen made notes on his tablet. "Cold climate species. Probably adapted to thin atmosphere and low temperatures. That might explain why Tarsus 6's warmer, thicker air was causing problems. Different environmental pathogens, too. Your parents still there?" Owen asked, then immediately wished he hadn't when Wraith's expression crumbled. "Dead. Pirates came. Took our medals. Killed anyone who fought." The dragon's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "I hid. I am coward." "You were a child," Owen said firmly. "Surviving isn't cowardice. It's the smart choice." Vorn, who had been standing guard near the door, moved closer. "I found Wraith 3 years ago, alone in a destroyed settlement. He has been with me since. We moved from world to world, seeking work, seeking safety, seeking acceptance." Owen felt a familiar ache in his chest. "Orphans and outcasts, the galaxy was full of them." "What kind of work?" "Whatever pays. Wraith is strong. He can lift cargo that requires machinery. But employers always worry. They see teeth and claws and fire. They do not see the gentle soul beneath." As if to prove Vorn's point, Wraith's tail curled around a fallen supply crate with surprising delicacy, moving it aside so Owen wouldn't trip over it. "I see him," Owen said quietly. He stood and walked to his pharmaceutical cabinet, pulling out various bottles and reading labels. Most medications listed potential reactions for a dozen common species. None mentioned Scareth. He was working blind, using his best guess based on carbon-based biochemistry, and hoping dragon physiology was close enough to humanoid for the drugs to work without killing his patient. Owen filled a large pot with water and set it boiling on a portable heating element. While it heated, he added various herbs and medicines he would normally use for severe chest congestion in humans. Eucalyptus for opening airways, a mild antibiotic that worked across multiple species, a fever reducer that his xenobiology training suggested should be safe for reptilian metabolisms. "What are you making?" Vaughn asked, watching with intense curiosity. "Something my grandmother used to make when I was sick as a kid. She called it medicine soup." Owen stirred the mixture. The heat creates steam that helps breathing. The ingredients fight infection, and the warm liquid soothes the throat. "Human folk medicine," Vaughn said, something like wonder in his voice. "You are treating a scareth with human folk medicine." "I'm treating a sick kid with whatever might help him feel better." Owen poured the steaming liquid into the largest container he owned, which was still comically small compared to Wraith's size. He would need to make multiple batches. He carried the bowl to Wraith. "Can you drink this?" Slowly. Small sips. Wraith lifted his head with visible effort. His nostrils flared at the steam, and for a moment Owen worried the dragon would reject it. Then Wraith lowered his snout into the bowl and began to drink. His eyes widened. "Warm," Wraith said, his voice already sounding slightly clearer. "Feels good." Owen made 3 more batches, letting Wraith drink until the dragon had consumed nearly 2 gallons of the mixture. The heat and steam combination seemed to ease the worst of the breathing troubles, at least temporarily. Wraith's coughing decreased. His wheezing quieted. "Thank you," Wraith murmured, settling his head on the floor with a deep sigh. First kindness in long time. That statement hit Owen harder than it should have. He thought about his own isolation, his self-imposed exile on this forgotten world. He had convinced himself that staying away from people meant staying away from pain. But looking at Wraith, he realized that loneliness was its own kind of pain, maybe the worst kind. "Rest now," Owen said. "I'm going to stay here and monitor you through the night." "You need sleep too," Vaughn observed. "Humans require rest." "I'll sleep when I know he's stable." Vaughn studied Owen for a long moment. "Why do you care? You do not know us. Your own people want us gone. You risk your position, your safety, your reputation. Why?" Owen thought about his daughter, about the nights he spent in hospital chairs refusing to leave her side, about the doctors who worked around the clock trying to save her, even when they knew it was hopeless, about the small kindnesses that meant everything in those dark times. "Because he's scared and sick and alone," Owen said, "and because I can help. That's enough reason." Outside, angry voices rose and fell. The settlement residents were still gathered, still afraid, still demanding action. Someone threw a rock at the clinic window. It bounced off harmlessly, but the message was clear. "They will not stop," Vaughn said. "They will find ways to make you suffer for this choice. Let them try." Owen pulled a blanket over Wraith's back, even though he knew dragon scales probably didn't feel cold the way human skin did. It was a gesture of comfort more than practicality. "I've already lost everything that mattered. My daughter died 5 years ago. I couldn't save her. I can't bring her back. But I can save you, Wraith. I can do that much." Wraith's eyes opened again, golden and bright despite the illness. "Daughter?" Her name was Lily. She was 7. She liked dinosaurs and spaceships and terrible jokes. Owen smiled despite the tears burning his eyes. She would have loved meeting a real dragon. "I am sorry," Wraith whispered. "For your loss." "Me too, kid. Me too." The night stretched on. Owen monitored Wraith's vitals every 30 minutes, administered more medication when the fever spiked again, and made more batches of his grandmother's soup. Vaughn dozed in the corner, but Owen could tell the old dragon remained alert, ready to defend if necessary. Around hour 5, Wraith's breathing pattern changed. Owen's heart jumped into his throat, fearing the worst. But then he realized the change was good. The wheezing had decreased. The respiratory rate had slowed to something more normal. The fever was dropping. The medicine was working. Owen leaned back in his chair, exhaustion finally catching up with him. His entire body ached. His eyes burned. His hands shook from stress and too much coffee. But Wraith was improving. That was all that mattered. "You did it," Vaughn said softly. "You actually did it." "We're not out of danger yet," Owen cautioned. "Infections can rally. We need to maintain treatment for at least 72 hours before I'll feel confident. But secretly, privately, Owen let himself feel a small spark of hope. Dawn light crept through the clinic windows, painting everything in shades of pink and gold. Owen had not slept. His eyes felt like someone had rubbed sand in them, and his back screamed from spending the night hunched over medical equipment. But Wraith was breathing easier. His fever had broken an hour ago, and the young dragon was sleeping peacefully for the first time since arriving. Small victories. The clinic door chimed, announcing a visitor. Owen tensed, expecting Administrator Walsh with more threats or an angry mob with torches. Instead, a human woman in worn traveling clothes entered, carrying a large insulated container. "Dr. Mitchell?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "I'm Patricia Wells. I run the settlement's greenhouse. I heard you were up all night, so I brought breakfast." She set the container on the reception desk and opened it, revealing fresh bread, scrambled eggs, and what smelled like real coffee. Owen's stomach growled so loudly that Patricia actually laughed. "Thank you," Owen said, genuinely surprised. "I didn't expect anyone to bring food." Patricia glanced toward the back room where Wraith slept. "Not everyone in the settlement is afraid. Some of us remember when we needed help and nobody gave it. Your dragon patient, he's really just sick? Not dangerous? His name is Wraith, and yes, he's just sick. Respiratory infection, probably caught from exposure to unfamiliar atmospheric conditions." Owen poured himself coffee, and the first sip tasted like salvation. "He's a good kid who's had bad luck. Most of us out here are," Patricia observed. "Good people with bad luck trying to start over where nobody asked too many questions." She left after that, but the food remained, warm and welcome. Owen ate while monitoring Wraith's vital signs, checking the numbers against his baseline readings. Everything was trending positive. The antibiotics were working. The supportive care was helping. Against all odds, treating a dragon like a human patient was succeeding. Wraith stirred around mid-morning, his golden eyes opening slowly. "Still alive," he rasped, then coughed. "Less violent than before, less painful. Progress. Still alive," Owen confirmed. "How do you feel?" "Less terrible. Chest still hurts. Head fuzzy, that's normal. You've been very sick. Your body needs time to heal." Owen prepared another batch of medicinal soup. This version with added nutrients he hoped would help. "Can you eat something?" Wraith managed half a bowl before exhaustion claimed him again. Vorn, who had been watching silently, moved closer to Owen. "You have saved his life," the old dragon said. "I do not know how to repay such a debt." "No debt," Owen replied. "I'm a doctor. This is what I do." "No," Vorn insisted. "This is more than duty. You have shown compassion to a species that the galaxy fears. You have risked everything for a stranger. In Scarith culture, this creates a bond. A sacred bond." Owen wasn't sure how to respond to that, so he focused on cleaning equipment and organizing his medications. The clinic was a disaster. Broken door, shattered glass, supplies scattered everywhere. He would need to repair and restock once Wraith was stable enough to leave alone. The door chimed again. This time, Administrator Walsh entered with two different people. One was a thin man in expensive clothes carrying a briefcase. The other was a woman with recording equipment, clearly a journalist. "Dr. Mitchell," Walsh said, her voice cold and professional. "This is Representative Carter from the Colonial Medical Board, and this is Julia Harris from Frontier News Network. They have questions about your patient." Owen crossed his arms. "My patient is sleeping and needs rest. Questions can wait?" "I'm afraid they cannot," Carter said, his tone suggesting he was used to being obeyed. "You are treating a Scarith without proper authorization, without xenobiological certification, and without appropriate facilities. This violates at least 6 medical regulations. Regulations written by people who have never seen someone dying in front of them," Owen shot back. "Regulations that prioritize paperwork over lives." Julia Harris activated her recording device, her eyes bright with interest. "Dr. Mitchell, sources say you used human medical techniques on an alien patient. Some are calling it reckless, others are calling it revolutionary. Which is it?" "It's medicine," Owen said flatly. "A patient needed help. I provided help. That's not revolutionary. That's basic decency." "Basic decency that could cost you your license," Carter warned. "The medical board takes unauthorized treatment very seriously. Then suspend me. Revoke my license. Do whatever you need to do." Owen met Carter's eyes without flinching. "But do it after my patient recovers. He's not stable yet. He needs continued care. Take me off the case now and you're killing him. Dramatic, Carter muttered, but he looked uncertain. Julia Harris spoke up. Doctor, can you confirm that your patient is Wraith, the young Scareth reportedly involved in property destruction on Helios Station 3 months ago? Owen froze. What? There's an outstanding warrant, Julia continued. Minor charges, but a bounty hunter named Crane is in system looking for him. He'll be here by tomorrow. Vorn appeared in the doorway to the back room, his scales bristling with anger. The property destruction was Wraith defending a human child from a Vortan predator. The child's parents thanked him. The station authorities blamed him because he is Scareth. They always blame us. Nevertheless, there is a warrant, Carter said. This complicates your situation, Dr. Mitchell. Owen felt rage building in his chest. A bounty hunter. You're telling me someone is coming to arrest my patient while he's fighting off pneumonia? That's what I'm telling you, Julia said, and something in her expression suggested she did not approve either. Thought you should know. Walsh spoke for the first time since the introductions. This has become a legal matter, not just a medical one. Dr. Mitchell, I'm recommending you transfer your patient to proper authorities as soon as possible. No, Owen said simply. No, he's my patient. He's under my care, and he's not going anywhere until I say he's medically cleared. Owen stepped forward, his exhaustion forgotten in the face of this new threat. You want to arrest me? Fine. You want to drag me before medical boards and colonial courts? Go ahead. But you are not taking that kid while he's still sick. I won't allow it. Carter and Walsh exchanged glances. Julia Harris kept recording, a small smile on her face like she had just witnessed something important. This isn't over, Carter warned. I didn't think it would be, Owen replied. They left, but the damage was done. Owen returned to the back room where Wraith lay sleeping, unaware of the danger coming his way. Forn followed, his expression grim. A bounty hunter, Forn said quietly. Crane is well known among Scareth. He specializes in hunting our kind. He will not care that Wraith is ill. He will not care about justice. Then we'll deal with him when he arrives, Owen said. Together. Wraith's eyes opened slightly. Heard everything, he whispered. Should go. Before Hunter comes. Before you lose more. You're not going anywhere, Owen said firmly. You're still sick and running will only make it worse. We'll figure this out. Why? Wraith asked, and his voice broke on the word. Why protect me? Owen thought about his daughter again. About how she used to ask him why bad things happened to good people. About how he never had a good answer for her. Because someone has to, Owen said. Because you deserve protection. Because that's what we do for people we care about. You care about me? Wraith sounded stunned. Yeah, kid. I guess I do. The bounty hunter arrived exactly when Julia Harris said he would, landing his ship in the settlement's main plaza with deliberate intimidation. Owen watched from his clinic window as Crane emerged, a massive humanoid covered in scarred combat armor. He carried weapons that looked illegal in most systems and walked with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. Behind Owen, Wraith had finally graduated from bed rest to sitting upright, though he still coughed occasionally and tired easily. The young dragon watched Crane's approach with fear in his golden eyes. Maybe I should surrender, Wraith said quietly. Avoid trouble. You're not surrendering anything, Owen replied. You defended a child. That's not a crime, no matter what some corrupt station authority claims. Vorn stood near the broken door, his old body tense and ready. Crane will not care about innocence or guilt. He cares about credits. The warrant pays well. Then we'll have to make him care about something else, Owen said, though he had no idea what that might be. Crane reached the clinic and stopped outside, examining the damaged entrance with professional interest. Then he pushed through, his massive frame filling the doorway. Up close, Owen could see circuitry woven into the man's skin. Cybernetic enhancements, military grade. This was someone built for violence. Dr. Owen Mitchell? Crane's voice came out synthesized, processed through a vocal implant that stripped away any emotion. I have a warrant for the Scareth called Wraith. Surrender him, and there will be no difficulty. He's still recovering from severe illness, Owen said, positioning himself between Crane and the back room. He's not fit for transport. Not my concern. Medical condition does not invalidate legal warrants. Crane's hand moved to one of his weapons. Step aside, Doctor. No. The single word hung in the air. Crane tilted his head, processing this unexpected resistance. "You're interfering with legal bounty collection. That carries penalties, financial penalties, possible imprisonment." The synthesized voice tried for threatening and achieved it easily. "Step aside." "I'm protecting my patient," Owen said. "That's my legal obligation. Medical ethics supersede bounty collection." "Interesting interpretation." Crane took a step forward. "Wrong interpretation, but interesting." Vorn moved, placing himself beside Owen. The old dragon was nowhere near Crane's size, but his presence mattered. "You will have to go through both of us." "That can be arranged." The situation was seconds from violence when Patricia Wells walked through the broken door carrying another food container. She stopped, took in the scene, and her expression hardened. "Crane, isn't it?" she said conversationally. "I remember you. You collected a bounty on Helios Station 5 years ago. Man named Davies. You broke both his legs during transport. Claimed he resisted. He didn't. I was there." Crane's attention shifted to Patricia. Irrelevant to current situation. Maybe, maybe not. Patricia set down her container and pulled out her communication device. "But I'm streaming this live to Frontier News Network right now. Julia Harris is very interested in how this plays out. Thousands of people are watching. Hi, everyone." Owen saw the calculation in Crane's posture. Bounty hunters operated in legal gray areas. Public attention was bad for business. Violence caught on camera was worse. "Stream can be deleted," Crane said. "Already backed up to 3 different servers," Patricia replied cheerfully. "Cloud storage is wonderful. You hurt anyone here, the whole galaxy sees it. You hurt a sick dragon being treated by a compassionate doctor? That's the kind of story that ruins careers." More settlement residents appeared in the doorway behind Patricia. Not many, maybe 10 people, but enough to matter. Some carried tools that could double as weapons. Others just stood there, silent and present. Owen recognized the greenhouse. Workers, the maintenance crew, even old Graham who ran the supply depot. People he had treated over the years. People he had helped in quiet, unnoticed ways. They were returning the favor. Administrator Walsh pushed through the crowd, her face red with anger or embarrassment or both. "What is happening here?" "Community support," Patricia said. "We're standing with Dr. Mitchell. He's done more good on this rock than any of us. He doesn't abandon patients because it's inconvenient. Neither do we." Walsh looked at Crane, then at the crowd, then at her communication device, which was probably exploding with messages from colonial authorities who had just noticed the live stream. Her expression suggested she was performing complex political calculations. "The warrant is valid," Walsh said finally. "But medical protocols are also valid. Dr. Mitchell, how long until your patient is fit for transport?" Owen considered lying, claiming weeks or months, but he looked at Wraith, who was stronger than yesterday, breathing easier. Fever gone. The truth was unavoidable. 72 hours, Owen admitted. 3 more days of antibiotics and observation, then he'll be stable enough to travel safely. Walsh nodded. 3 days. Crane, you will wait 3 days. The settlement will provide accommodations. Try to take the patient before Dr. Mitchell clears him, and I'll have you arrested for medical endangerment. We have standards here, even on the frontier. Crane was silent for a long moment. The livestream audience had grown to tens of thousands according to Patricia's device. A tactical retreat was the smart choice. 3 days, Crane agreed. But I'm watching. Patient tries to run. I hunt him down. Doctor tries to hide him. I file charges. Clear? Crystal, Owen said. Crane left, his departure somehow more menacing than his arrival. The crowd dispersed slowly, people touching Owen's shoulder or nodding at him as they passed. Patricia remained, turning off her stream with a satisfied smile. That was quick thinking, Owen said. Thank you. Like I said, some of us remember when we needed help. Patricia glanced at the back room. Your dragon patient okay? Scared, but okay. Getting stronger every day. Good, because in 3 days, he's going to need to be strong enough to defend himself properly. Patricia's expression turned serious. Walsh bought you time, but the warrant is real. What happens after those 3 days? Owen had been trying not to think about that. Wraith would be healthy enough to travel, but traveling meant facing charges on Helio Station. Charges that were technically valid even if morally wrong. The legal system rarely cared about context or compassion. I don't know, Owen admitted, but we have 3 days to figure it out. In the back room, Wraith had been listening to everything. When Owen returned, the young dragon looked up with an expression of wonder and confusion. They stood up for me, Wraith whispered. Humans stood up for me. Why? Because you matter, Owen said simply. Because you're one of us now. Frontier people take care of their own. Vorn approached, his old eyes wet with tears he could not shed. I have lived 200 years. I have traveled 1,000 worlds. And I have never seen anything like what just happened. Humans protecting a Scarith, a community choosing compassion over fear. Don't give us too much credit, Owen said. We're still figuring it out ourselves. But privately, he felt something shift in his chest. Hope, maybe. Purpose, definitely. For 3 years he had hidden from the world, convinced that caring meant suffering. Wraith had taught him different. Sometimes caring meant standing up. Sometimes it meant fighting. Sometimes it meant finding strength you didn't know you had. 3 days. They had 3 days to find a solution, to build a defense, to somehow protect a young dragon from a system that had already decided he was guilty. 3 days to prove that compassion could defeat bureaucracy. Owen got to work. Julia Harris returned to the clinic on the second day, but this time she brought company. 3 more Scarith landed in the settlement plaza, their massive forms creating shadows that covered entire buildings. The residents watched nervously, but nobody panicked. After seeing Wraith, dragons seemed less terrifying and more like people who happened to have scales. The eldest of the 3 dragons was ancient, her scales so pale they looked almost white. She moved with careful dignity, each step measured and deliberate. The other 2 were younger, perhaps middle-aged by dragon standards, and they flanked her like honor guards. Owen met them at the clinic entrance, very aware that he was suddenly hosting what looked like dragon royalty. I am Elder Sira, the pale dragon said, her standard flawless. I lead the Scarith Council. We have been watching the broadcasts of young Wraith's treatment. We have come to speak with the human doctor who treats our kind with compassion. Owen Mitchell, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Wraith is inside recovering well. We wish to see him, but first we must speak with you. Sira's ancient eyes studied Owen with unsettling intensity. You used human medical techniques on Scarith physiology. This should not have worked. Our biology is fundamentally different from yours. Not as different as you might think, Owen said. Carbon-based life follows certain patterns. Respiratory infections present similarly across most species. I just treated the symptoms I recognized and hoped for the best. Hoped, Sira repeated. You wagered Wraith's life on hope and intuition. I wagered his life on compassion and basic medical science, Owen corrected. And it worked. One of the younger dragons, a male with deep red scales, stepped forward. I am Corvin, chief physician to the Scarith clans. I have studied medicine for 80 years. What you accomplished in 3 days, we have failed to accomplish in 3 decades. How? Owen considered the question. You were treating Scarith as dragons. I treated Wraith as a patient. I didn't focus on the differences. I focused on what was the same. Fear. Pain. The need for comfort and care. Comfort and care, Corvin said slowly, like the words were foreign. Our medicine focuses on physical treatment. We repair injuries efficiently. But illness, disease, infection, these things confuse us. We cannot see the enemy. We cannot fight it directly. You fight it with support, Owen explained. You keep the patient comfortable while their body does the fighting. You provide medication to help, but mostly you provide time and care and hope. Sira made a sound like wind through caves, which Owen realized was dragon laughter. Hope again. You place great faith in hope, human doctor. Sometimes it's all we have, Owen replied. The dragons followed Owen into the clinic. Wraith was in the back room, awake and alert. When he saw Elder Sire, his eyes went wide and he tried to bow, which turned into a coughing fit that Owen quickly treated with the last of his medicinal soup. Easy, Owen said. No sudden movements. You're still healing. Sira approached Wraith with surprising gentleness. Young one, I am told you have been ill. Yes, Elder. This human saved my life. Wraith's voice was stronger than yesterday, but still rough. He treated me like I mattered. You do matter. All Scarith matter. Sira turned to Owen. We have a proposal, Dr. Mitchell. Our people are dying. Respiratory diseases spread through our colonies, and we do not know how to stop them. Our physicians are skilled at healing wounds, but helpless against invisible sickness. Corvin spoke up. We have lost 200 young ones in the past 5 years. 200 children who simply stopped breathing. We need help, but our pride prevented us from asking. Until now, Sira finished. You saved Wraith with human medicine and human compassion. We ask that you teach us. Come to our worlds. Show our physicians what you have learned. Help us save our children. Owen felt the weight of that request. I'm one doctor. I don't have all the answers, but you have some answers. More than we have. Sira's voice carried the weariness of someone who had watched too many die. We offer alliance. We offer knowledge sharing. We offer whatever resources you need. We are begging, Dr. Mitchell. Please help us. Before Owen could respond, Administrator Walsh burst into the clinic with her communication device held high. Dr. Mitchell, you need to see this now. She activated a holographic display. The image showed a packed hearing room somewhere in the core worlds. The caption read, Emergency Session, Helios Station Incident Review. Julia Harris appeared in the image, testifying before a panel of officials. The charges against Wraith are fraudulent, she said clearly. I have security footage showing the full incident. A Vorton predator attacked a 6-year-old human child in Helios Station's commercial district. Wraith intervened, using minimal force to drive the predator away. The child was unharmed. The only property damage was a storefront window broken during the altercation. The footage played. Owen watched Wraith, smaller and younger than now, place himself between a massive predator and a terrified child. The dragon took injuries protecting the little girl. He damaged property because he was fighting for her life. When station security arrived, they saw a dragon and assumed guilt. One of the panel officials spoke. Why were charges filed against the Scarith? A station administrator on the screen looked uncomfortable. Standard protocol. Scarith are classified as potentially dangerous species. Any incident involving them triggers automatic legal response. Even when they save lives? Julia's voice dripped with contempt. The child's parents testified that Wraith was a hero. You ignored them. You filed charges against someone who risked his life to protect a human child. Why? The administrator had no good answer. The panel deliberated for less than 5 minutes. Charges dismissed. Warrant vacated. The Scarith called Wraith is cleared of all accusations. Furthermore, this panel recommends reviewing all Scarith-related legal cases for similar bias. Walsh turned off the display. It's over. The bounty is canceled. Crane left system an hour ago. Owen felt relief wash over him so powerfully that his knees went weak. Wraith was safe. The threat was gone. Everything was going to be okay. Wraith made a sound between a laugh and a sob. Free. I am free. Vorn embraced the young dragon carefully, mindful of his still healing body. You are more than free. You are vindicated. A hero recognized. Sira watched this with her ancient eyes. You see, Dr. Mitchell? This is what we need. Not just medicine for the body, but medicine for the heart. Hope, justice, compassion. These things heal deeper wounds than any disease. Owen looked at Wraith, then at the elder dragons, then at the humans gathering in his clinic. Patricia and her greenhouse workers. Old Graham. Even some of the people who had demanded Wraith's removal now looked ashamed. I'll help, Owen said. I'll come to your worlds. I'll teach what I know. But I need something in return. Name it, Sira said. Let humans learn from you too. Share your knowledge, your history, your culture. Let's build something together. Not just medical treatment, but understanding. Corvin and Sira exchanged glances. Then the elder dragon lowered her massive head in a gesture of respect. We accept. Let this be the beginning of true alliance between our peoples. Wraith looked at Owen with gratitude and something deeper. Nest Guardian, he said in his own language. You are my Nest Guardian now. My chosen family. What does that mean? Owen asked. Vorn translated quietly. It means he has adopted you as parent. It is the highest honor a young Scarith can give. It is permanent and sacred. Owen thought about his daughter, about how he had told himself he could never be a father again, that losing her meant losing that part of himself forever. But looking at Wraith, he realized he had been wrong. Love was not a limited resource. Family was not defined by biology or even species, and healing meant opening your heart again no matter how much it had been broken. "Then I accept," Owen said. "Wraith, you're stuck with me." The young dragon's answering smile could have lit the entire settlement. 6 months later, Owen stood on a balcony overlooking the newly constructed cross-species medical center on Tarsus 66. The settlement had transformed from a forgotten frontier outpost into something remarkable. Buildings that once stood empty now housed medical students from 24 species. The plaza where Crane had landed his bounty ship was now a park where dragon hatchlings played with human children. Behind him, the medical center buzzed with activity. Scarith physicians studied human techniques. Human doctors learned dragon medicine. Knowledge flowed freely in both directions, creating something neither species could have achieved alone. Wraith landed on the balcony with much more grace than his first arrival at Owen's clinic. The young dragon had grown in the past months, his scales brighter, his movements confident. He wore a modified medical harness that carried supplies marking him as a student physician. "Morning rounds are complete," Wraith reported, his standard now perfect. 3 patients ready for discharge. 1 new admission, respiratory infection, responding well to treatment protocols. "Good work." Owen reviewed the data on his tablet. "You remembered to check emotional state alongside physical symptoms?" "Always. You taught me that medicine treats the whole being, not just the sick parts." Owen smiled. 6 months ago, Wraith could barely breathe. Now he was training to be a healer, combining Scarith's strength with human compassion in ways that amazed everyone who saw him work. Vorn emerged from the medical center, moving slower these days but still sharp as ever. The old dragon had accepted a position as the center's dean, overseeing curriculum development. He carried a data pad and wore reading glasses which looked ridiculous on a dragon, but somehow worked. "Owen, we have the enrollment numbers for next term," Vorn announced. 200 applicants. We can accept maybe 50. We need more space, more teachers, more resources. "Growing pains," Owen said. "Good problems to have." A human shuttle descended toward the landing pad, sleek and official. Owen recognized the colonial government seal. More dignitaries coming to tour the facility probably. The cross-species medical center had become famous across the galaxy, a symbol of what different peoples could accomplish together. But the person who emerged from the shuttle was not a dignitary. It was Patricia Wells, and she was carrying another insulated food container. "Some things never change," Owen laughed. Patricia climbed the stairs to the balcony, slightly breathless, but grinning. "Brought lunch? Your favorite, the spicy noodles from Chen's restaurant?" "Yes, I know the chef's name is Chen. You're not the only one who notices patterns." They ate together on the balcony, watching students practice medical procedures in the courtyard below. A young human woman was learning to take vital signs from a dragon patient. A Scarith physician was carefully examining a human volunteer, his massive claws surprisingly gentle. "It's working," Patricia said quietly. "What you started, it's actually working." "We started," Owen corrected. "You stood up for us when it mattered. Half the settlement did. This center exists because people chose compassion over fear." Julia Harris appeared from the medical center, camera crew in tow. She was filming a documentary series about the center's first year. Her reports had turned Owen and Wraith into minor celebrities, though both of them found the attention uncomfortable. "Dr. Mitchell, can I get a statement about the new expansion plans?" Julia asked, her recorder already active. "The expansion is necessary to meet demand," Owen said, falling into the professional tone he used for interviews. "We're seeing interest from species across the galaxy. Everyone wants to learn integrated medicine." "And by integrated medicine, you mean?" "Medicine that combines the best techniques from multiple species. Scarith physiology gives them natural resistance to certain toxins. Human psychological understanding helps treat trauma and stress. Vortan regenerative medicine teaches us about cellular repair. Every species has something to contribute." Julia nodded, making notes. "Some critics say this center threatens traditional medical practices. How do you respond?" "I say medicine is always evolving. We're not replacing traditional practices, we're adding to them. Owen gestured at the students below. Look at them. Different species learning from each other, treating each other as equals. That's not a threat. That's the future. Elder Sira descended from the sky with 2 other council members, their arrival still impressive but no longer terrifying. The Elder Dragon had become a regular visitor, consulting on curriculum and sometimes teaching classes herself. Dr. Mitchell? Sira greeted him formally, then ruined the effect by adding, Are those Chen's noodles? I love those noodles. Patricia laughed and offered her container. Help yourself, Elder. I made extra. The sight of an ancient dragon sharing noodles with a human farmer while a doctor and his dragon son looked on would have seemed impossible 6 months ago. Now it felt normal. Natural, right? Corvin emerged from the medical center with a group of students, both human and Scarith. Owen, we have the final report on the respiratory disease outbreak on Scarthane. Thanks to the protocols you developed, mortality dropped from 40% to less than 5%. 200 young ones survived who would have died under old treatment methods. 200 lives saved. 200 children who would grow up, who would have futures, who would remember that a human doctor cared enough to help. Owen thought about his daughter again, but this time the memory did not hurt. Lily would have loved this place. She would have befriended every dragon, learned everyone's name, asked a million questions about how things worked. She would have been proud of her father. I wish she could see this, Owen said quietly. Wraith moved closer, his massive head resting gently on Owen's shoulder. She does see. Through you. You carry her with you always, and her spirit lives in every patient you save. When did you become a philosopher? Owen asked, his vision blurring with tears. I learned from watching you. You taught me that healing is not just medicine. It is love. It is hope. It is refusing to give up on people, even when they are different, even when they are afraid, even when the whole galaxy says they do not matter. Vorn approached with his datapad. Owen, I have a request from the Helios Station administrators. They want to establish a satellite campus of the medical center. They specifically requested that Wraith lead the program. Wraith's eyes widened. Helios Station? The place that called me a criminal? The place that now calls you a hero, Vorn corrected. They want to make amends. They want you to teach their physicians. They want to learn from the dragon they wronged. Owen looked at his adopted son. What do you think? Ready to go back? Wraith considered this. 6 months ago, he would have refused out of fear, but he had grown, not just physically but emotionally. He had learned medicine. He had learned confidence. He had learned that forgiveness was stronger than anger. Yes, Wraith said. I will go. I will teach them. I will show them that Scarith are not monsters. We are healers. We are protectors. We are people. That's my boy, Owen said proudly. Julia Harris recorded everything, her camera capturing the moment. This would be another story spreading across the galaxy. The dragon who returned to the station, that had persecuted him, not for revenge but for healing, another example of what compassion could accomplish. The sun set over Tarsus 6, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. The medical center's lights began to glow, illuminating windows where students studied late into the night. The park, filled with families, different species sharing space and conversation. What had started with a desperate dragon crashing through a clinic door had become something beautiful. A movement, a change, a new way of seeing each other not as alien and threatening, but as fellow travelers through a difficult universe. Owen stood on the balcony with his adopted son, his old friend Vorn, his loyal supporters Patricia and Julia, and Elder Sira, who was still eating noodles with obvious enjoyment. Different species, different backgrounds, united by the simple belief that kindness mattered, that lives had value, that treating others with compassion was not weakness but strength. Hearts had melted across the galaxy. Barriers had fallen, and all because one doctor decided to treat a dragon's cold like it was human. Sometimes the smallest acts of kindness created the biggest changes. Sometimes love really could save the world. Wraith spread his wings, catching the evening light, and for just a moment Owen saw his daughter standing beside the dragon, smiling her approval. "Thank you," Owen whispered to memories and miracles alike. And in the medical center behind him, another patient arrived, scared and sick and hoping for help. Another opportunity to heal, to teach, to show compassion. The work continued, the dream lived on, and somewhere in the vast universe, hearts continued to melt, one patient at a time.